Okay. Hi, welcome to All About the Alternative Live. And this is behavioral science and a little bit of discussion. It's behavioral science and humanities. It's a course that I basically found and I basically went through to just discover a little bit about some things. And I was trying to put some ideas together. And as I came across these books and I started reading them, I wanted more discussion about them. And what better way to do it than to be able to discuss it on online. Oops, I got something stuck on my. I don't know what that is. Okay. um, so anyway, so here we are. I'm starting this off so that we can talk and everything, and whoever comes in can join me on here to say hi and uh, tell me what you're thinking about it. If you've watched my other one that you did the other day, you can let me know what you think about it a little bit. Uh, and if you see this actually going somewhere, if you don't, I promise there's a lot more that I want to do with this. Going through these first couple of books is basically just a kickoff of introduction to all of it. So there's quite a lot to bring up and talk about. And so I just want to get everybody that's interested to be a part of it and have the discussion. And you don't have to be a scholar. I'm not a scholar. I took some courses when I was younger, when I was in college, that were actually very relevant to this, but it's not really where wasn't really what I was taking at the time. So it's not the full course of what I was taking. So it's just something that I got into, got interested in, and I don't know what that is. It's just something flew in them. Not that's not or anything. It's just something in my hair. What do you think of next? Anyway, oh well. Oh wow, I don't know how that happened. Anyway, but anyway, so anyway, I just have been interested in doing this, and I don't know. If there is somebody who is a scholar and they'd like to join me on this and is have the discussion and that, I don't have the way to really bring up a second person yet, but I'm working on that. So we can bring a person into the discussion and talk and basically get a little bit more uh, about it. That we can do lots more. Uh, anyway, so if you're interested, let me know, and I'll try to rearrange it so that we can actually have a conversation and bring somebody else up into on screen here and talk. Uh, and so I know this is all getting new. Not a lot of people know me yet. A few people do. Obviously, there is some people that are all watching, and I do have subscribers and everything. So a lot of people are probably going to watch this on the replay at some point, I'm sure. I may pop up part of this for another video at a later time. Or I may just put this off and do some more later on. I'm trying to just feel out when is the best time to do this. Maybe it's the afternoon would be a better time to do it. So maybe we should try again this afternoon when there might be more people. I don't know. My evening times is not really, I know there's a lot of other shows. A lot of other people put out their shows in the evenings, so I don't really want to step on any toes in some of the ones that I already do have a part in that I, you know, that I like to watch their shows. So I'm probably not going to try to step on those toes to do that. Um, So if you're interested and you're joining me here, please let me know that you're watching. Just say hi, say where you're from, maybe a little bit about yourself. Maybe what your background is, what your interest is in this topic. So basically, it came from behavioral science. Is where I jumped off of from in this in these texts. It was basically I wanted to put some theories behind some ideas, and I just basically looked at it and went, well, someone actually said to me, well, why don't you look into the theology, look into the information about this, and let's go from there. And so I said, okay, well, so I looked up the books, I looked up all the texts and everything, and I started reading through them myself. And I found the information I really wanted to put towards the theory I needed, which was great. But there was so much more to it. There was a lot more to everything that was in these books, and it just gave a lot for theology. It gave a lot for religion and culture. And as of a couple of days ago, actually, I just found some more books that are even more relevant to theologies and some more cultures actually that I'm going to add to this. So there's I'm not finished finding the actual information either. I've got a whole bunch more. And I just figured out another way that I can even include them in what I wanted when I want to talk about. Um, in recent events as well, as you may have realized, last Wednesday I was doing my show with the kickoff of introduction to behavioral science, and realized I got off I finished my live and went to check on what was going on in that, and I found out what was going on in the news that day. Without bringing up that actually at this point, because I don't want to capitalize on that, of course, that was the issue. But um, it did get to me that, of course, that was all happening at the time when when I was realizing that. Uh, so yeah, but it's there's a fine line out there. There's a tolerance for everything, um, and I guess one of the things I really wanted to do with all of this is that bridging that gap that I talked about on my last um, segment that I did for introducing it. And I introduced the Facebook page as well. So I do have a Facebook page, which is listed below in the description. And so if you want to join on to that Facebook page as well, I will be putting up a lot of the text. Now, I didn't put this one up for today's one, but it will be going up later. So it will be added. And it's just about discussion, about talking about things, and getting to know what we're more about each other. um, that's a big thing. I think we need to learn more about each other, learn about what's going on in the world, and there's so much more to this. And so this introduction today is actually another. It's 11 pages. Is actually the size of is the book. Now, in other cases, there are some other ones, like the Humanities book is 70 pages. I'm not going to cover, of course, every single page of any of these texts, but like I had one of the books I had in college that was this big, huge book. It was called Well-Beings, and it basically said, "Don't read this book end for end." And so, in most cases, we're not going to read every single book from end to end. I don't. That's not my intention. I think we're going to take sections of those books and read the relevance of what they are, and maybe tie them into some news, tie them into some ideas, and discuss them. And that's my whole plan. I'm not doing a lecture series here. This is, I'm going to talk about them. Um, it's given me a lot of insight into some new information that some things I hadn't thought of. And of course, like some of the things that I discovered the other day was discovering some new ideas that I still hadn't thought of, even though there is such an extensive amount that I've already got for this. So, and of course, I'm watching a lot of other YouTubers, of course, that that they especially ones that are quoting themselves as pastors, ex-pastors, rabbis, ex-rabbis, ex-spiritual leaders. Let's just say, let's just say religious leaders or spiritual leaders, and they're talking about things that they're bringing up, and some of them are very one track minded, or they bring up something that they suggest that they're a part of, and yet everything they say is negative towards one negative. Well, it's negative. Yes, it's actually negative towards it, or very derogatory towards uh, what they're actually claiming that they know about. Or they didn't spend the time to actually find out the information before showing something that And I'm probably going to maybe do that a few things about what I'm showing here. I'm I have never professed to be one, and I am not going to start at this point now to say that I am either. But it's just something I have had an interest in, and of course that's why I'm bringing it here. And I wanted to open up a discussion, open up that door to say, hey, let's bridge that gap. And that's going to be my motive to this is bridging the gap in discovering more about each other, more about humanities, obviously, so the social sciences, which in most cases also include a lot of government information, a lot of history, um, you know, sense of geography as far as where things are and what goes on. I'm realizing there's a lot of people that are very one track minded that way too, that the way they have grown to understand the world is one way and one way only, and that's it. And I've realized over recent times, very recent years or whatever, that I was very lucky. Um, I I feel I feel that I was given a gift um, when I was younger that I'm very glad I have, and that was my friends that actually I had a group of friends that were all from different cultures and different religions and different beliefs, and every now and then we would all just sort of sit and talk about some of our what's going on and the information about what we actually are learning. um, but we would also share each other's cultures. We would share each other's experience, and I feel so blessed to know that I had that. So I wasn't just growing up with my background being Jewish. Of course, I grew up with that, but it wasn't just that. I've got to know a lot of other areas, learned about where other friends came from, and that was just very, very dear to me, and I treasure that the information. I think it made me see or made me understand that there is more going on than just the one thing that people know. And I think a lot of people are very one-sided. That they only grew up with what they understand and don't look to understand outside of that. And I think humanities, this course in behavioral science and humanities, is very relevant to that. Um, I will clarify a couple of things, of course. Okay, so there's one thing I do want to clarify, actually. And I'll probably bring this up many times, and I have a little blurb that actually describes it. The name behavioral science, it's the spelling of it that's going to throw people off. Um, there is two different spellings, and of course, one is a U.S. spelling. The U.S. has a different way of spelling things, and it's actually with like Behioroal, whereas British or Canadian have OUR. Um, so if you see it in two different ways, just know that I'm Canadian, of course, and I was trying to spell it that way, and of course, in several different instances, I was actually it tried to spell check me and it spell corrected me, and so in some cases you're going to see it spelled in both ways, going back and forth, and behavior or in other words, there's lots of different words that are spelt that way, whereas the Canadian way and the U.S. way, I will just try to compromise here because you're going to see it in both ways occasionally if I have a chance. Of course, I spell it the Canadian way. Not for that. Um, so I wanted to bring that up to just make a point because, of course, sometimes you're going to see it in one way and you're going to see it in another. Um, so uh, hopefully, you can. If you are watching and you're joining me now, you can, of course, say hello and say who you are and say where you're coming from on this. I've said that many times that, I'd like to know where everybody is from and what your interest is. If you, like I said, if you are a scholar, make yourself known so that we can have the discussion. Um, there's some things I'm going to be getting into. Like I said, I'm going to be getting into the theologies. I'm going to be getting into the cultures, the religions, um, the lifestyles. This just opens the door for me to do all of those things that I intended to do way back when I was saying over almost 2 years ago when I was making the plan to rebrand this channel and start this. That was a big factor that I was going to use, was of course covering lifestyles. Now of course there's a lot of cults out there, and I'm probably not going to cover those quite as much, although I do have a little piece of Scientology that I'd like to bring up here. There's because it's just there's quite a relevance to some things. Some of the other cults I'm probably not going to get into as much, but maybe just briefly mention here and there. And some of the other, there's a following for a lot of things. I just recently discovered a few more that I'm going to add to it. Um, so there's a lot of Mormonism in YouTube as well. So there's quite a bit there that you know that we can cover. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can add to it and insight into it as well. So I'd like to see that happen as well. You know, it's forgive me for the ums and ohs. I'm still getting used to doing this. I'm not really used to public speaking or anything. That wasn't really anything I've really gotten into. So I'm learning. I'm learning as I go, and getting there slowly here. So. Um, that's the way it works, I guess. Every now and then I'm going to get more and more into this. So, um, you know, okay. So let's just see here. Do that as well. Bring these in. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to start just yet to go into the books or not, because I don't see who else is in here yet, and we're not really like to get into the discussion in that and see where things go. Maybe I won't even bring up the book today. If not, I will change the title, and I'll change um, the the thumbnail to something else if that's the case, because it's just discussion. I have several different thumbnail plans for this, so you'll see different things coming up. It'll probably have that thumbnail with the title of the book that's my plan to discuss. And if our discussion goes a different direction, then I may change the title, change the thumbnail. I have the ability to just change that as I go, and I'll be able to do that. Um, yeah, so hopefully, like I said, you can give me that like, you can give me the subscribe as you're going in, as you're coming in, if you've never seen me before. So I guess I should give a little bit about what, who I am, because maybe you're coming in and you don't even know who I am, and you've never seen my channel before. Yeah. A lot of people have referred to me as the Gadget Lady. One of the things I like to do is gadget reviews. So one thing I do on this channel is that ways to improve your life, to help out with doing things as you're experiencing things in life. There are gadgets that can help you with that, and there's a lot of rechargeables. My biggest thing is a lot about rechargeables, because they're good for the environment. As far as you're not going to have a lot of batteries around and stuff like that. So when you're recharging something, it's going to be renewed and used many, many times, instead of having to have our throwaway world where everything gets tossed away. And then I have some fix-its and workarounds to some of these things as well, so that you can learn with me as far as how to fix something if something breaks down. And I've had some of those as well. That you'll find them on my channel here, especially ones like that ice maker fix it, and the coffee maker, and just general things as I find out what's about a gadget or something like that um, you know different ways to even use things as an alternative, right? And I really have plans for a lot of recipes and stuff like that, which is also alternatives. Taking it, of course, I normally have a kosher background, of course, because of my being Jewish. But of course, I also have looked into other things like being gluten free and milk free, egg free. Um, if you're going to use some prepping options as well, what can maybe be better for prepping than finding recipes that are quick, easy things that you don't have to have in the refrigerator? And because when you're getting a bug out bag, you want something that you can just take and go. Maybe you won't have access to cooking or something like that. So these are ways of doing things that are quick, helpful. There's some alternatives to different recipes that are uh, the one I did for margarine, for example. You have instead of actual, you can't go to the store, or you want to make something different, a little less preservatives and stuff like that in your food. I made a recipe for margarine of my own, like a spread. So there's that kind of thing. I, so there's different alternatives that everything's like I can do this with almost everything. I can promise you that there's an alternative for everything. And it's just what became my moniker of life, that I seem to live the alternatives. So that's who I am. That's why this is called All About the Alternative, because there's all kinds of alternatives out there. And so that's why I did the All About the Alternative. That's just how it's uh, one of those things that work out really well. It's just there's so many things I have. I've done a lot of social media concepts, by the way, as well, which was kind of my lead into all of this, because, like I said, I picked up these books several years ago for most cases. Um, and I had some of these textbooks actually that I found the PDF versions of them, so that was the reason why I went after looking for them, and so that it would be able to be actually, because I like to do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of learning about something. If I didn't understand it, I went out from finding the information so that I could learn more about it. As my husband will attest to at some point with me, if I don't know how to do something, if I don't know how to work something, my go-to is well, play and learn is the biggest thing. I'll press some buttons, find out what it is, why it's not working, and pull the thing apart. Even every screw comes out of the whatever appliance I'm trying to fix, and I figure out what's going on with it and why it's not working before I do the close it all up and go buy a new one. Uh, you know, um, so that's one of the things I've learned to do, I guess. Um, for example, with my car, my old car, had a motor issue. It was kind of making this grinding noise with the motor, and it was a air motor thing. And so I called up a mechanic, and he said it would cost a couple $100 to fix it for me. And school of YouTube here, right? I went to, I don't even know if it was, maybe it was YouTube. I think it was YouTube. I went to uh, finding out what was going on with it, why it was a blower motor, um, and and so I learned how to take apart the area of where this blower motor was. And I said to my husband, okay, we're going to open up that section. We're going to take it out and go into this blower motor and clean out all the leaves, which is what it was, because I had driven into a parking lot with a bunch of, fall. Um, it was a bunch of leaves that were in this parking lot, and it had gotten sucked up into that blower motor. And of course, so we went in, took all the leaves out, cleaned the whole thing up, put it all back together again, and it worked. I didn't need to spend a couple $100 or whatever it was that mechanic wanted to fix something I could actually do myself. And blew my husband away that, hey, I did it. I just picked up and decided to do that. Anyway, that's my little story. of my trying to fix my own car. I won't fix other parts of my car myself, but I just, that was a very quick, easy thing to do. And we just basically, I drove into the parking lot and drove into my driveway and called my husband out and said, "Here, let's fix it." And we did. So um, just things like that. So like I said, I'll pull every part of a device apart before I will actually go and say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go find a new one and go buy a new one. Um, you know, so um, my little, you know, things like that. Anyway, that's what I did. So, and then I, learned a few things about cars along the way by doing that, I guess. So there's that, and about other mechanics and other things, and um, you know, pull something apart, and um, maybe it is. I'll just you have to clean something up in order to like even a laptop has the same problem where it just needs to be cleaned up on the inside, blow out the air, all the dust out, and something will work again. And rather than having to go, okay, well, my computer's too slow, my computer doesn't work. Well, find out why first before going, okay, well, yeah, it might be 10 years old. Now, of course, the software issues and things like that will be an issue, of course, but uh, software can be updated. At least you can try to update it first before saying, okay, well, the computer's just not working up to par, and now we're going to go buy a new one. There are ways of doing things to make sure that things continue to work as best you can before throwing something out and getting a new one. Or there's parts that you can use from the old device to the new one. And there's lots of things like that. Anyway, stuff like that is all about the alternative. And I'm doling it out slowly. Of course, this has been when it began, I didn't have a whole lot of time, and you only have so much time in a week to do things. Of course, when I do some of my other things that I do, I I research and I look up information about what I'm doing, and so I do the video, I do the research, so I have all the information I'm providing in my video, in my content, and then of course I do the video. I sit in front of my camera like this one, or one of my other one, and do my video, and then I spend a lot of time doing my editing, and the editing process, of course, takes a good length of time. So I do that, and then of course, then processing, taking it into, uh, you know, entering it into YouTube to upload it. So, I mean, all that is a process that takes time too. So, yeah, I don't do quite as many videos as I maybe can. And even with these ones here, I mean, there's not a whole lot of editing I can do on it. Um, I can show pictures, I can do things, but uh, I don't have a picture-in-picture here, so that's not quite. This is a little bit different than how I'm used to doing my videos, my content normally, um, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people just, they just do the content and then put it up on YouTube as is. They don't do a whole lot of editing process. And so that's just how they do it. I guess I put a little bit more into doing that editing process and making sure that things that shouldn't be said, maybe, don't wind up being said. Um, as I listened to the other day, it was yesterday actually, I was listening to a YouTuber talk about something that saying some very derogatory words towards my religion, that I wasn't too fond of, and I think if they'd really thought about it, they should have edited that out. That whole segment should have been edited out, to my opinion. But you know what? That's their thing. That's what they want to do, and I shouldn't be offended by their banter, I guess. saying very derogatory things about anybody, which they tend to do, and I get very riled up over it. And I'm learning that I shouldn't do that. I'm learning that I'm trying to get away from that as much as I possibly can, because that's just, it's not where I need to be. Um, so anyway, that's all it is really. If you can uh, get to know me a little bit more this way, then we can go from there. Doesn't look like there's too many people that are taking this right now. I think what I might do. So I'm going to put this as a starting point, um, and so I do want to do more about this discussion. So I hopefully that if somebody is watching this has gone on about 30 minutes, and I've only had a few people come in at this point. So I'm not going to spend the time on that book right now. I'm going to change that thumbnail like I said I was going to do, and we'll retry this again, maybe this afternoon, if I can get it set up again, and hopefully you can. Hopefully, if you are watching this, you can give me a like and a subscribe, and see me on the next one, and please join me so that we can have this discussion on behavioral science and humanities. And so here, this was a little bit more of get to know me and my thoughts today. And I'll probably re-mention some of this in the next one as well, because there's a few things I was bringing up in points that were going to be towards actually the book. But at this point right now, I'm going to leave it there. And hopefully you'll join me on my next one. Have a great day.